I joked about bodies in the basement, while three missing girls were actually locked underneath us. I found out today. Not rumor found out. Not Facebook post found out. A detective called my phone and used my full legal name like he was reading from a form. Is this Ethan Walker? My stomach tightened so fast I thought I might throw up. Nobody says my full name unless it's work, a doctor, or trouble. Yeah, I said. Who is this? This is Detective Ruiz with the county. I need to ask you a few questions about your aunt, Marlene Walker. I was standing in my kitchen 2 towns over, holding a mug I wasn't even drinking from. The sink was full. The dishwasher light was blinking. Normal life stuff. My aunt's name coming out of a detective's mouth did the opposite of normal. What about her? I asked. There was a pause, like he was measuring how much I already knew. Then he said, "We executed a warrant at her property this morning. We located multiple missing persons." My brain tried to twist that into something else. Found them on the property could mean anything. A clue, a phone, a bag. I said, "Located them how?" Another pause. "In her basement," Ruiz said. "Alive." My legs went weak. I sat down hard on the edge of the couch without even meaning to. My mug tipped and spilled cold coffee onto my hand, and I barely felt it. "No," I said, like that could change what he said. "I'm sorry," he replied. He didn't sound sympathetic. He sounded like someone saying the line because the situation required it. I stared at the wall across from me. There was a dumb print I bought at Target that said something about home in cursive. It looked ridiculous. "How many?" I said. My voice sounded far away. "3 living victims recovered," Ruiz said. "We're still searching the property." My chest felt tight and shallow, like I'd forgotten how to breathe properly. Ruiz continued, "Your aunt is in custody. We believe this is connected to several open missing persons cases in the county over the last few years." The last few years? All the posters at gas stations, all the candlelight vigils, all the shared Facebook posts. The town's favorite hobby was getting upset for a week and then going back to normal. My aunt was always normal. She volunteered. She hosted holidays. She had a neat little house on a neat little street. Her lawn looked like she measured the grass with a ruler. If you asked anyone in my family who the safe adult was, they would have said Marlene. "What do you need from me?" I asked. I wanted to sound like an adult. I sounded like a kid. "We need to understand her routines, relationships, and access," Ruiz said. "And we need to know if you've ever noticed anything unusual at her home." Unusual. That word made me furious because the answer was yes and no. Nothing that screamed kidnapped girls in the basement, but a lot of small things that made me uneasy. And now my brain was replaying them like a cursed highlight reel. I said, "Can I ask why you're calling me?" "You were listed as a frequent contact," Ruiz replied. "Your aunt had you marked as family priority in her phone. Also, you were at her home last weekend. We have confirmation." I went cold. Last weekend I'd been there for my cousin's birthday. Cake, burgers, the usual family noise. My aunt hugging people too tight and telling them to take leftovers. Kids running around the backyard. Underneath that, 3 girls. I swallowed so hard it hurt. "Yeah," I said. "I was there." Ruiz said, "When you were there, did you go into the basement?" "No," I answered quickly. "She doesn't like anyone down there. She always says it's messy." He didn't sound surprised. He sounded like that fit. "Has she ever shown you the basement?" he asked. "Or asked you to assist with anything involving the basement door?" "No," I said. "I don't even think I've seen the basement door open." Ruiz asked a few more questions. How often I visited. Whether she had visitors. Whether she had construction done. Whether she had locks or security cameras. I answered as best as I could. It felt like talking underwater. Then he said, "We may need you to come in for a formal statement." I said, "Okay." He gave me a time. He told me to bring my phone. He told me not to contact my aunt or anyone who might contact her for her. Then he said something that made my skin crawl. "If you have any concern for your safety, call us immediately." After I hung up, I sat there with my phone in my hand, staring at it like it might explode. Then I did what everyone does. I called my mom. She answered on the second ring, cheerful, like she was in the middle of folding laundry. "Hey, babe." "Mom," I said. "Did you hear?" Silence. A small shift in her breathing. "Detective Ruiz called you too," she said. It wasn't a question. "Yeah," I said. "What the hell is happening?" My mom didn't answer right away. She sounded like she was walking into another room, like she didn't want anyone else to hear. Then she said, "Your aunt is sick." "Sick?" I snapped. "There are missing girls in her basement." "I know," she whispered. "I know." "How long did you know?" I demanded. Anger was easier than horror. "I didn't know," my mom said. And she sounded like she meant it. I swear to God, Ethan, I didn't know. I believed her, which somehow made it worse, because that meant my aunt had pulled this off right in front of everyone. My mom kept talking. Your dad is on his way there. The whole family is. Why? I said. Why would you go there? Because Marlene's being arrested, my mom snapped back. Because everyone in town is calling. Because your grandma is losing her mind. Great. The family emergency phone tree was already lit up. I said, Mom, I was there last weekend. For the birthday. I know, she said softly. I stared at my kitchen again. The blinking dishwasher, the stupid normal mess. And it hit me so hard I had to grip the counter. I was sitting in my aunt's backyard eating a burger while girls were trapped beneath our feet. My mom said, Ethan, listen to me. You need to stay calm. You didn't do anything wrong. That's the thing. When someone tells you that, it's because you look like you're about to break. I said, I need to go. I hung up before she could stop me. I didn't go to the station right away. My body was moving like it didn't want to cooperate. I showered even though I didn't feel dirty, like water could rinse this off. I changed clothes 3 times because nothing felt right. I sat down and stood up and sat down again. I kept thinking about my aunt's house in layers. The living room where we did Christmas. The kitchen where she sliced pies. The hallway with family pictures lined up like a shrine. And under that, a basement door no one went through. My family's group chat started blowing up. Tessa, is it true? Greg, everyone stop posting. Do not talk to media. Grandma, call me now. Ava, I'm scared. I didn't reply. I didn't have words that wouldn't make it worse. I opened Facebook and immediately regretted it. People were already posting blurry photos of police cars outside my aunt's house. Someone had taken a picture from across the street like it was a celebrity sighting. Comments were going insane. People were speculating names. People were trying to be the first one to say they always knew something was off. No, you didn't. Shut up. I threw my phone onto the couch and paced until my legs hurt. Then I got another call. This time it was my dad. He doesn't call often unless it matters. He's one of those guys who treats phone calls like emergencies only. Ethan, he said, and his voice was wrecked. Dad, I replied, what's going on? He exhaled shakily. They brought them out. Who? I asked, even though I knew. The girls, he said. They were alive. They looked bad, Ethan. My stomach flipped. I pressed my fist to my mouth. My dad said, Marlene is sitting on the curb in handcuffs like she's waiting for the school bus. She doesn't even look confused. Did she say anything? I asked. My dad hesitated. She said she was protecting them. From what? I snapped. My dad's voice went quiet. She said she couldn't let them be who they were. My whole body went hot and cold at once. Who they were, I repeated. My dad made a noise like he hated himself. She said they were wrong. It was like hearing a language I thought my family didn't speak anymore. I'm gay. I came out at 16. It was messy in the way it always is in a small town, but my parents didn't kick me out. My grandma cried and then pretended it never happened. A few cousins came out later. One uncle is openly gay and married. My family isn't a rainbow parade, but it's not the kind of family where you'd expect I kidnapped girls to stop them being themselves. So what the hell was she talking about? My dad said, I need you to tell me something. He swallowed. I could hear it. Did Marlene ever make you uncomfortable? That question made me feel sick in a new way. I wanted to say no. I wanted to say she was just strict and weird and controlling. I wanted to say, I'm not a victim here. But then my brain threw up a memory I hadn't looked at in years. I was 19, home from college. I was at my aunt's house helping her carry boxes into the garage because she was reorganizing. She kept touching my shoulder as she walked past. Not a pat, not a normal touch. A lingering squeeze. She said, you know, you're still so handsome. It's such a shame. I laughed awkwardly. A shame for who? She smiled like she had a secret. For you. I remember how it made my skin crawl, and how I told myself I was overreacting. Then there were other small things. The way she'd stare a little too long. The way she'd ask personal questions about my dating life, and seem disappointed when I answered. The way she'd insist I stay over if I visited late, even when I said I was fine driving home. And the basement. The way she never let anyone down there. The way she'd snap if a kid got near the door. The way she'd laugh it off like she was just a neat freak. My dad said, Ethan. I realized I'd gone quiet. I said, I don't know, she was weird. My dad's voice got sharp with fear. Weird how? Controlling, I said, like she wanted to own you. Like she wanted you in a box. My dad exhaled a shaky breath. Jesus Christ. I whispered, Dad, do you think she would have done something to me? He didn't answer right away, which was the worst answer he could have given. Then he said, I don't know. I sat down hard on the floor. My legs gave out like they'd been holding me up on borrowed time. My dad said, listen, don't come here. Don't show up. You go to the station like Ruiz said. You say nothing else to anyone. You understand me? I said, okay. Then he said, I'm sorry. That broke something in me. My dad doesn't apologize unless something is completely out of his control. I hung up and stared at my hands. I kept thinking about last weekend. How my aunt hugged me when I arrived and squeezed too hard. How she said, my boy, like I belonged to her. How she watched me talk to my cousin's girlfriend and kept smiling in that tight way. How she insisted I take a plate downstairs when she ran out of table space. And I joked, what do you have down there, bodies? She laughed too loudly. Don't be gross. I didn't think about it again until now. The station interview was in a plain room with bad lighting that makes everyone look guilty. Detective Ruiz was younger than I expected. Late 30s, maybe. He had tired eyes. He had my phone records printed out. Visits logged, dates, times. He was polite, but he wasn't gentle. He asked me to walk him through my relationship with my aunt. I tried to keep it factual. I didn't want to turn it into feelings. Feelings weren't evidence. She's my dad's sister, I said. She hosted a lot. She was around a lot. I'd see her on holidays, birthdays, sometimes Sundays. Did you ever stay at her house? He asked. Once or twice when I was younger, I said. Not recently. Did she ever ask you to keep secrets? That question made my throat tighten. Because families like mine treat normal things like secrets. We had secrets like, don't tell grandma you moved in with your boyfriend, and don't mention your uncle's DUI, and don't talk about money. I said, not in a specific way. Ruiz said, did she ever behave in a way that made you feel unsafe? I swallowed. She was inappropriate sometimes. Comments, touching, not violent, just off. He wrote it down, calm as anything. Then he said, we recovered victims who have been missing for different lengths of time. One of them has been missing since 2022. In her basement. Since 2022. Ruiz nodded. We believe she acquired victims through social contact, manipulation, and coercion. Not by force in public. That made my stomach twist. Because it meant this wasn't random. It was chosen. He said, your aunt kept extensive notes. My skin went cold. Notes? Ruiz nodded. Lists. Schedules. Observations. I felt a wave of nausea so sharp I had to grip the edge of the table. Then Ruiz said, we also found a locked interior room. He said, a secondary locked space. Reinforced. I heard my own voice, thin and childish. Like a cell. Ruiz didn't correct me. He asked if I knew anything about renovations, contractors, construction noise, anything that might suggest she altered the basement. I didn't. Ruiz asked about my family. Who visited? Who had keys? Who had access? I answered everything. Then Ruiz asked, has your aunt ever expressed opinions about sexuality or identity that stood out to you? That question punched me in the throat. I said, not openly. She'd make little comments. Like calling things unnatural. Ruiz looked at me carefully. And how did she treat you after you came out? She acted supportive in public, I said slowly, then said weird stuff privately. Ruiz nodded. Then he asked, did she ever try to isolate you? I thought about the errands, the favors, the time she wanted me alone. Maybe, I said. Ruiz leaned back. Then he slid a photo across the table. It showed the basement door, a heavy padlock, and above it a small sticker. Quiet hours, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Like she'd labeled a prison door with house rules. I stared at it and felt my brain split. Because I had been in that house. Behind that door were human beings. I asked how they found them. A neighbor reported unusual sounds, Ruiz said. A contractor noticed modifications. Not the family, the neighbor, the contractor. That's what found them. Later that night, my aunt called me. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice sounded calm. Ethan, she said, you know me. I would never hurt anyone. I was helping. They don't understand. You understand, right? Then she laughed. I always knew you'd understand. I felt sick, not because I believed her, because it sounded like she believed it, and it sounded like she thought I was the person who would agree. Later, my mom told me something worse. Grandma was blaming me. She said Marlene was trying to protect me too, from being gay. That's when something in me finally snapped into clarity. This wasn't one mistake. This was a person who believed other people's lives belonged to her, and a family that trained itself to ignore anything uncomfortable. The town will move on. People always do. But I keep thinking about one thing. I ate a burger at that birthday party. right above a basement full of missing girls. And I never heard them. If you discovered a family member had been hiding a crime in plain sight, and part of you feared you were meant to be the next victim, what would you do first? Let me know in the comments.